Hey there Space Cats, it's me Jules with another video on illustration and publishing. Wait for it! This video is all about front covers. As you might remember if you've watched anything from this playlist, I've been working on Vincent and the Mermaid, my 15th book. I have mostly been working on the illustrations for the interior of the book, and in the last month have just started putting it together digitally, and that includes adding the text and adjusting any image colouring. But in conversation with my publisher recently, I realised that I really should have started the covers ages ago. It's really important to your publisher to finish the covers really before you start anything else, because then they can start the publicity for it. That means it can go into catalogues, so bookshops can order it 6 months in advance if they need to. Or they can register it with Nielsen or Amazon. This can all happen way before your book is even finished. So, a bit late, but here is my front cover illustration. The publishing team asked me first of all to come up with 3 different ideas for a front cover, and this was the one that they liked the best. So, using my now quite old and crusty template for my book, this is the trim edge, so this doesn't have any bleed attached to it, so I have to add the bleed. There is a video on bleed if you don't know what that is. This one has a bit of spider poo on it, so it tells you how long it's been hanging around on my desk for. Size of that is, just if you're interested, 190mm tall by 130 wide. So using that, I then came up with this layout, and this has a spine of 6mm in, so I added that as well. So that's my 130 plus 6 plus another 130, and then I added another 6mm around the edge for the bleed. And this also has a little bit of text on it. I did fiddle about with my name, as you'll see in the finished piece, but my publisher suggested that he would like to see some of the sea floor on the back cover, so actually I decided to have almost 2 different scenes, one on the front cover and a different one on the back cover, but I wanted to link it with the colours. So having inked it, this was my first attempt at the actual inking and painting process. And once I'd done this, I'd laid down this blue colour. I decided I didn't like the colour that I had chosen. I can't remember the name of the blue. I will find out and put it on the screen. But this is the one that I did not like. It was too green, it ended up being, and I wanted it to be a much more zingy, bright, colourful front cover, and that just wasn't cutting the mustard. But you can see what I mean when I say I wanted to introduce the colour on both sides. So even though I've got 2 different scenes, when you pick up the book, if you're turning it from front to back, you can see that it gels still. So using the colour that I did want to complete the cover with, I came up with this. And this is actually the finished image for the front cover. And I used mainly watercolour, but I also used some Inktense colouring pencils just to bring up some of the detail, say for example on the jellyfish. And then this area I just blobbed some water into the wet watercolour, and I also used some salt, so you might be able to see a sort of slight graininess there in the middle of your screen, and that is from the salt. And there's also still actually some salt attached in this top corner. You might be able to just see it sort of glimmering, and it's still there. So, but that's okay, that came out absolutely fine when I scanned it in. What is important to go on your front cover, and what do you need to think about when you first start designing it? Well, I needed to make sure that there was space up the top for my title to go, so that's going to fit in that sort of area, and then my author name is going to be down the bottom here. But I also needed to think quite carefully about the back cover, and you'll see here on the layout that I'd left this space so that that's got space for some blurb, but in the final piece I did actually put just a little bit of blue coming down to show that there's still some light coming through that area. I've also left a little space here for the barcode and any website details or logos for sponsorship, that sort of thing, and that is going to sit very happily in this area down the bottom here. So I've got space, even though it looks like a full page of image, it's actually got spaces deliberately designed into it where I'm going to be able to put some text or any other particular necessary things like the barcode and any sponsorship details. And this is what it looks like when I've scanned it in and opened it up as a Photoshop document. I used individual text boxes for the words Vincent, Mermaid, and then another one for and the, just so that I could manipulate the size more easily. Then I added the spine text that's got the title and author name. Incidentally, the typeface I've used is Ashcan BB and it's the regular font. And then the back cover blurb goes on, but this is subject to change depending on how the publisher feels about it. I fiddled around a little bit with the author name, trying to decide whether it should go underneath that curve of the wave or above or a bit of both or just really boring. But eventually I settled for this. And here it is, the cover as it has gone off to the publisher so far. Has that helped a bit? Your front cover is so important. You need to give it lots of time and consideration. It's the first thing that your audience will see. You literally have a nanosecond of their time before they decide whether or not to pick up your book and have another look at it and have a look at the blurb or maybe even the inside, or whether to pass it by for something else. Next time I will be illustrating Little Bo Peep and her hundreds of sheep. If you like stuff like that, then check out the Folklore and Fairy Tales playlist. It has loads of stuff. Until then, I'm off to gel with a jellyfish. I will see you next time. No.